Spain has one of the highest youth unemployment rates in Europe. While the economy appears stable on the surface, there's a major problem bubbling underneath. Young people struggling to find jobs, living with economic insecurity, and facing a future that seems out of reach. The so-called lost generation in Spain didn't happen overnight. It's a crisis that's been building for decades. Youth unemployment in Spain is not just a recent phenomenon. It's a chronic issue that spans decades, tracing back to the economic downturns of the late 20th century and compounded by the 2008 financial crisis. Unlike some of its European neighbors, Spain has struggled to reduce youth unemployment to acceptable levels, even in periods of economic growth. This long-standing challenge is now shaping what many refer to as a lost generation, young people who may never fully recover from the economic scars of their formative years. The roots of this crisis are complex. Spain's economy relies heavily on specific industries like construction and tourism, which are prone to boom and bust cycles. Additionally, the education-to-employment pathway is broken for many young people. This crisis didn't emerge overnight. It's the result of decades of policy decisions, economic shocks, and structural imbalances that have left young people vulnerable. The consequences of high youth unemployment extend far beyond individual job losses. Economists argue that high youth unemployment can lead to a drag on national GDP growth. When a significant portion of a country's young workforce remains underutilized or outside the labor force entirely, it impacts productivity. This lack of economic contribution creates a gap in tax revenue, affecting everything from infrastructure investment to social programs. In addition, a country's demographic makeup plays a significant role in its economic health. Youth unemployment leads to delayed family formation and reduces consumption of major goods like housing and cars. Young adults who can't find stable employment are less likely to buy homes, start families, or even invest in the economy. Over time, this delays Spain's economic recovery and limits its ability to remain competitive on the global stage. One of the biggest challenges in tackling youth unemployment in Spain is the divide between older, protected workers and younger, precarious workers. Spain's labor market has been described as a two-tier system. On one side, there are older employees with permanent contracts who benefit from strong labor protections, high wages, and job security. On the other side, there are younger workers who are often stuck in temporary contracts with little stability and few benefits. This generational divide is creating a sense of frustration and inequality. Older workers have the protections that young workers crave, while younger generations are left feeling excluded and undervalued. Attempts to reform the labor market often face strong resistance, especially from older workers and trade unions who fear losing their hard-won protections. This dynamic complicates any efforts at reform. Spain's education system, despite its strengths in academic theory, often fails to prepare young people for the realities of the labor market. A mismatch exists between the skills taught in schools and universities and the skills demanded by employers. Many young people graduate with high academic qualifications, but struggle to find jobs that value their expertise. Vocational training is one area where Spain lags behind other European countries. In Germany, for example, the dual education system, which combines classroom learning with apprenticeships in companies, has been a major factor in keeping youth unemployment low. In Spain, by contrast, vocational training has been undervalued, leading to a lack of practical experience for many graduates. The education system's focus on theoretical knowledge often leaves graduates without the hands-on skills that industries need. This mismatch is a significant factor contributing to the country's persistent youth unemployment problem. Temporary contracts are another cornerstone of the youth unemployment crisis. Unlike permanent contracts, which offer job security and benefits, temporary contracts are short-term, often last only a few months, and come with lower wages. In Spain, young people are disproportionately hired on these temporary contracts, making it hard for them to plan for the future. Temporary contracts are often renewed several times before being terminated. Many young Spaniards describe feeling as if they're trapped in a revolving door of low-paying, insecure jobs with little chance for advancement. This type of precarious work can lead to burnout dissatisfaction, and disillusionment with the labor market. Spain's youth unemployment rates also vary significantly by region. Northern regions like the Basque Country and Navarre tend to have lower youth unemployment rates due to a more diversified economy, strong industrial sectors, and better vocational training. In contrast, southern regions like Andalusia and Extremadura struggle with higher unemployment due to a heavy reliance on agriculture, tourism, and seasonal work. These regional disparities highlight a broader challenge. Spain is not one homogeneous economy, but a patchwork of regions with different strengths, weaknesses, and economic profiles. Solutions that work in one region may not be effective in another. Addressing youth unemployment requires both national strategies and targeted regional interventions. The pandemic exacerbated an already critical situation. Lockdowns and travel restrictions hit Spain's tourism sector hard, a sector that employs many young workers. Bars, restaurants, and hotels closed, leading to mass layoffs and a surge in youth unemployment. Internships and entry-level positions disappeared almost overnight, and those already in temporary positions were often the first to go. For young Spaniards who were already struggling, COVID-19 was a severe setback. Many lost hope of finding a stable job, and the crisis highlighted the vulnerabilities of an economy so reliant on seasonal and tourism-driven work. The aftermath of the pandemic has led to renewed calls for economic diversification, but change has been slow. Beyond economics, the social impact of youth unemployment in Spain is profound. Many young adults are still living with their parents well into their 30s, unable to afford independent living. This delay in achieving financial independence is contributing to a social shift, where traditional markers of adulthood, like buying a home or starting a family, are being pushed back by years, if not decades. Spain has one of the lowest birth rates in Europe, and high youth unemployment is a significant factor. Young people face a difficult choice between pursuing their careers and starting families. This is leading to concerns about the country's demographic future, as an aging population places increasing pressure on social welfare systems. There's also a growing mental health crisis linked to unemployment. Studies show that long-term unemployment can lead to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. Young people in Spain report feeling a lack of purpose, growing frustration, and disillusionment with political leaders who they believe have failed to address their needs. The mental health impact is not just a personal issue, it's a societal one. A generation dealing with mental health challenges is less likely to be productive, engaged, and innovative. Addressing youth unemployment isn't just about getting people into jobs, it's about creating a future that feels hopeful and attainable. Fixing Spain's youth unemployment crisis will require significant changes, both in policy and in mindset. Education reform must prioritize practical skills and real-world applications. More investment in vocational training and dual education programs, similar to those in Germany, could prepare students for the job market. Internships, apprenticeships, and partnerships with industries could bridge the gap between academia and employment. Labor laws need to be adjusted to provide more flexibility for hiring, without sacrificing worker rights. Encouraging a move away from temporary contracts toward more stable, long-term employment arrangements could give young people the security they need to build their futures. Spain's economy needs to diversify beyond tourism and seasonal industries. Investing in technology, renewable energy, green jobs, and other emerging sectors could provide new avenues of employment for young people. A more diversified economy is less vulnerable to global shocks. Young people should be encouraged and supported to start their own businesses. This could include tax incentives for startups, access to affordable loans, business mentorship programs, and reducing bureaucratic hurdles. A thriving startup scene could provide alternative career paths for those struggling to find traditional employment. Greater collaboration between the government, educational institutions, and the private sector is essential. Together, they can create programs that address the specific needs of the job market and develop training initiatives that prepare young people for in-demand roles. Spain's youth unemployment crisis is a complex and deeply rooted issue. Solving it won't be easy, but the cost of inaction is far greater. Addressing the needs of the lost generation will require a commitment to long-term solutions, sustained investment, and a willingness to adapt and innovate. This isn't just about saving a generation from economic hardship. It's about ensuring that Spain's future is bright and inclusive. The country's young people have the potential to drive change, but they need the opportunities, support, and trust to do so. Spain's future depends on its youth, and the time to act is now.